All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Cassie Bruce, and I'm honored to serve as the chair of the First Coast Worksite Wellness Council. The mission of our council is to improve the health of our communities by supporting our member businesses and their efforts to improve employee health and well-being in the workplace. If there's one thing that we've learned in the past year and a half, it's that supporting emotional and mental health is so important. We also learned that social connection and interaction is such a huge contributor to our emotional well-being. And that's why this year we chose the theme, Be Inspired, Cultivating Connections, for our conference this year. In speaking with you all told us that you really miss the networking, the live interaction. And while we decided to keep the conference virtual this year, we're hoping that this platform really enables that networking and interaction that we all have been missing so much. So in order to maximize the platform, we have a few tips for you for this week. When we're in the ballroom, which is where we all just were, there are 6 seats per table. So you can move around the room and meet people at other tables by double-clicking on any other table in the room. Make sure to visit our board table, the FCWWC, and also our sponsor tables that are along the left side of your screen. If you keep your video and microphone on at all times, you'll be able to enable live chat. So you may have noticed that if you didn't have your camera and your mic on, you were kind of hovering in a table, but they couldn't see you and you couldn't really talk without them hearing you. If you turn on your camera and your microphone, you'll be automatically popped in to the live chat at your table. You might have also noticed that you can create a profile. So if you go to the top right of your screen, I'm not sure if you can see it. Yeah, you can in presentation mode. You should see your initials. If you click that and click My Profile, you'll be able to update your information and also connect to your social media platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook. Your microphone and camera are automatically shut off when the presenter is on stage. So right now, nobody can hear or see you. So unfortunately, when Billy Blinks comes up in a bit, we're not going to be able to see your dance moves. That just means you better bring it because nobody's watching. You get to dance like nobody's watching because nobody is. Instead of interacting with your microphone, we encourage you to please use the chat and Q&A functions. If you have any questions for our speaker, please post them in the Q&A box. That's where we're going to monitor all the questions for the speaker. And in that box, you can also upvote questions so that they get pulled to the top. For technical issues and any other general chat, you can use the chat feature. So there are 3 types of chat. We have the general chat that everyone can see. We have the table chat that just the people at your table can see, and private chat where you can chat one-on-one with attendees. So you can say hi to all of your friends that joined us today. So just for a quick exercise to get us all familiar with the chat box and to get some participation going, we're going to create a conference alias. So this is going to be your new name. Your new name is going to be a combination of your favorite pet's name, or if you don't have a pet, your favorite child's name, or if you can't pick a favorite child, just your favorite person's name, plus what you ate for breakfast. So for instance, mine would be Alexander Toast. If you just pop that in the chat really quick, let's just make sure that my microphone's on right now and that you all can use the chat function. We have Lego eggs or Leo eggs, Ruby egg, Gene yogurt, Sally granola, Kai bacon, that's a good one, Bud waffles, that's cute, Boost pancakes, don't judge, no judgment here. Bella Blueberry, that's actually a very cute name. I love it. Finn Eggs Hash Browns. Oh, I don't even know how to say Billy Blinks. He's already testing us this morning. All right, I'm skipping that one. So without further ado, we're going to run a quick video from our title sponsor, Florida Blue. Oop. Wouldn't be a conference without a technical issue, right?
Hello, my friends. I am Darnell Smith, Market President at Florida Blue. Welcome to the 13th Annual First Coast Workplace Wellness Conference. Florida Blue is excited to host the conference virtually again this year, as our priority continues to be the health and safety of our members. We've all learned a great deal about the virtual world this past year and have a great conference on this platform lined up over the next 4 days. Our theme is Be Inspired, Cultivating Connections, and we will connect you with nationally recognized speakers as well as each other. Thank you for inspiring your employees' wellness in this extraordinary year.
Awesome. And with that, I would also like to welcome our events director, Ebony Berry, to the stage to introduce our speaker for today, Billy Blanks Jr.
Thanks so much, Cassie. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker today, Billy Blanks Jr. I hope you're just as excited as I am to introduce him today. So Billy Blanks Jr., self-taught and working professional from his youth, Billy Blanks has gained much exposure and experience in the world of dance and entertainment. As a young teen, he choreographed school musical productions and created after-school dance groups. As Billy's notoriety grew, he earned roles as a dancer in music videos with Paula Abdul, Madonna, Celine Dion, Crystal Method, Quincy Jones, and Babyface. His credits include TV appearances on Dr. Oz, Meredith Vieira, The Ellen Show, Home and Family, American Dreams with Alicia Keys, The Practice, Sister Sister, Kids Incorporated, Homeboys from Outer Space, My Cousin Skeeter, and The Tonight Show. Billy starred as Tyrone Jackson in the US and European touring companies of the Broadway musical fame. He went on to direct and choreograph the We Sparkle Take Two celebrity concert with Tom Hanks, Jason Alexander, Bryan Cranston, Joey Lawrence, Britney Spears, Michael Chiklis, Hal Sparks, the cast of Will and Grace, and more. He also choreographed the end sequence for the movie I Hope You Can Dance. Billy made his directorial debut in NYC at Madison Square Garden, directing One Night with the Stars, starring Broadway legends Betty Buckley, Lainey Kazan, Telly Luong, Mandy Gonzalez, Constantine, Tom Bergeron, Jordan Sparks, Noah Galvin, Fran Drescher, and many more. Billy was the artist director of the newly renovated historical Wall Street Theater in Norwalk, Connecticut. Over time, Billy has become the face for the new generation of fitness with his revolutionary dance program, Dance It Out. He made history on the hit TV show Shark Tank after turning down a deal proposed by Mark Cuban and Damon John, when the latter shark left the tank and talked Billy into taking the deal. The result was his business, Dance It Out, becoming the fastest growing fitness-based dance program in America. Dance It Out is also now a new hit lifestyle talk show on the Lifetime Network. Billy is the son of Tybo, creator Billy Blanks. In October 2015, Billy Blanks launched the MoveTube Network, where he produces and directs feel-good workouts, motivational content, and other inspirational videos featuring today's hottest dancers and celebrities. Billy is the creative director at viral YouTube channel Talent Recap in Brooklyn, New York. His son, Elijah Wayne Blanks, is his biggest accomplishment. Now let's give a big round of applause as we welcome Billy Blanks Jr. Thank you.
I actually see applause. That's so cool. First of all, I want to say that is the longest bio and resume. I'm literally like, oh my God, I feel so bad for you guys. But thank you so much, Ebony. I'm so excited to be here. And I just want to say I've known Ebony for quite some time. And so I'm just so grateful to be here with you guys. And before we get started, of course, we're going to move, we're going to dance. It's only 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So I want you to promise me, because I can't see you. that you're gonna get up. So move the chair, move everything back for a second. We're gonna get up for 2 minutes and 50 seconds and just kind of move, get the endorphins flowing. But I like to start every speech with that. So get up, let's move, here we go. Put the music on, get ready. I wish I could see you guys, but I know you're moving. So let's go. Let's get this party started. All right, I hope you can see me. All right, I just want nice and simple. You don't have to have the steps perfectly. I just want you to move steps side to side, just like this, all right? And most important, smile. Here we go. Row it out, row. Give me a little row, just like this. Yes, you got it. Nice and easy, row. Let me see it, come on, what are you doing? Yes. Row and row, just like that, a little bigger. Warm up the body. Now we're gonna go to a little slide like this. Slide right, slide left, just like that. Yes, slide, slide. Warm it up. If somebody's at home watching you, make them dance with you, okay? Here we go, step, touch, step, and step. Now you're gonna, little grapevine, go step, 2, 3, other side. Step, 2, 3, just like that, yes. And step. Now old school, give me a snake, snake. Uh-oh, here we go. Now we're gonna move into a little bit of Latin for a second, okay? I want you to step to the side. We go here, go side, side, just like that. Add those hips in there, waist in there. Now give me a little shake, shake, shake. Yes, are you doing it? Come on, shake, and shake, shake. From here, you go step, 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 just like that. Bring it to the side. Now remember, if you don't get everything, it's okay. Now heel and heel. You just warm it up. Push, and 1, and 2. Now I want you to give me a little salsa, front, back. Watch this. Go front, back, front, back. Now you can add something to it if you want to. Use that waist, use those hips. Here, and 2. Now we're gonna go from salsa. We got one more and we're all done. All right? Here we go, watch this. Strike a pose. All right, I want you to cheese it up. It's time to go to the disco, okay? First step, watch this, you go like this. You go 1, 2, 3, just like that. Travolta point, reach all the way up, move, come on, and 1, and 2, 3, yes, you got it. Now give me some hips, 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 just like that. Roll it around, 2, 5, around, yes, you got it. And 5, back to those hips, hips, and 2, and 3, you're all done. Strike a pose for me, here we go, pose. Good job, guys. Awesome, awesome, awesome work. Okay, so grab some water. I hope you're moving. I'm gonna turn this off for a second. Stay here, yay. Thank you for moving. Now I'm gonna quickly grab some water. We're gonna drop the camera for a second, but grab some water real fast, okay? Upright, let's see. And it's too low. There we go, right there. All right. Thank you guys for dancing. I hope you got up and danced. Hope you have water. So I'm just, again, first want to start off by saying how excited I am to be here. And when I heard the theme for this year, it is so exactly what I am. And so it was something that I'm so glad that Ebony reached out. But I always want to start off with a quote. It's a quote I live by, you know, and it's really important because I know we all try to inspire people, but I think what's even more important than inspiration is empowerment. And so a quote I live by is inspiring people is incredible, but empowering them is taking inspiration to the next level and you can change their lives. And so what I want to do in this next bit of time is just kind of go over with you how I've used empowerment to connect people, to get them to work out in a different way, because I know I grew up in a fitness family and I know that it was always set that you have to come in and you have to do it a certain way to lose weight. And what I always realized and watched is I was like, but there's something emotional that is lacking that's here. And as an example, you know, my dad, I don't know if you know my dad's story, he created Taibo. It's one of the biggest fitness programs. And where I got this inspiration is he was training Oprah. Oprah had him on his show for 5 days. And she, you know, she wanted to promote him. He was there for 5 days. On the 5th day, which is huge to be on Oprah that many days. But on the 5th day, she quit on air. She was like, "This is too hard for me. I'm not doing this anymore, but thank you for coming." Basically is what she said. And something in me was like, but who gets her? What happens with these other people that, yes, it doesn't mean that they don't want to come in. Some of them don't want to do punching and kicking, and sometimes they get bored with one thing, but who gets somebody like this that just wants to come in and have a good time? And so it set me on this mission that then started to show me that working out was more than just physical. And so I through accident, realized that empowerment was how you actually get people to change their lives. You can inspire people to get up and do push-ups. You can inspire them to do burpees. But when you empower them to go beyond that and to change their lives, and you let them know that working out is physical, it's mental, it's spiritual, it's emotional, then you truly change their lives. And so it's how I've gone to live by my life. And so I want to show you something. I'm going to actually play a little story for you. Let's see if I can copy this and put it in there. So this is a man that I would say I was teaching my class in Los Angeles. I had my program at 24 Hour Fitness. It was the busiest class they had there, had about, I would say 130 people every class. I taught 3 times a week. And, I'd say it's 80% women. There's some men in the class, but it was 80% women. And there was this man that would just stand outside of the window every time. And it wasn't creepy. It was just one of those things where he's standing outside of the window and he's watching the class because there was so much joy going on in the class. And I could see he wants to come inside, but he's not going to come inside because he's a guy, because it's dance, because he feels. And so I was like, how do I get this guy to come inside? And so I embarked on this journey. I was like, I'm telling you, it was like clockwork. Every class I would be teaching, and around the 20-minute mark, I'd look over at the window and he'd be in the window, just staring at the window like this and smiling at us and doing this thing with his hands. And so I was like, how do I get him to come in? I don't want to scare him and I don't want to push him away. So I thought I gotta say something. So I went in after class and went out to him at the window and I was like, hey, I see you look in the window. You got to come in and try it sometime. He's like, oh yeah, not for me. I'm not, I don't take fitness classes, not really my thing. I don't dance. And, this long story. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And this went on for, I would say, probably a good 4 or 5 months of him standing outside of the window and like clockwork, was there the same time we were there every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And he'd come to that window and I was like, how do I get him to come in here and try this and see that it's not as intimidating, as scary as he thinks? And so just by him watching, he would watch the energy, the people. So I finally go out one day and I was like, hey, look, I know you don't want to come in, you think you're not a dancer, but I promise you this is not what this class is about. It's love, it's trust, it's emotional. You'll see these people are supportive. There's no judgment in here. I would love for you to come in. And he looked at me and he was like, you know what? I'm going to come in on Monday. I'm going to come in for 15 minutes, and just try to make you happy. And I could see the thing of, okay, he's going to come and he's going to walk out, because that's what it is. And what's incredible is he came into the class that Monday. And normally, if any of you teach fitness, when somebody's going to leave, they pretty much stand by the door or they stand in the back. He stood in the middle of the class. And so I was like, okay, this man's standing in the middle of the class. He's going to maybe take the whole class or whatever. And we get into the class and 15 minutes goes by and he's just smiling like a beam of light. 20 minutes goes by, 30 minutes goes by, finishes the whole class. And I start with this story because this was the you're not going to get him story. And this man comes to me after the class and goes, do you have a camera? He goes, I want to make a testimonial for you. And I was like, okay, when has anybody asked to do that? And so this is what I'm going to play for you real quick. I'm going to play part of this video and I'll play the full video in a minute, but I just want you to see his part for a second. And this is what he did. I'm so grateful. Okay, so I'm going to come back to the video in a second, so I want you to see the whole thing and see what goes on with Dance It Out. But I show you this story because he was the person that I thought, how can I inspire or empower Mr. T? Mr. T has his whole life going for him. Mr. T is a star. He's a big man like my dad. I'm like, he's not going to want to come in here. And literally, when I tell you the amount of times he pulled me over and said, you don't understand. He said, I've been coming to this gym for years. He said, and something is different about this. You're not just teaching me a class. You did something that made me feel like I could do this. He's like, I'm not a dancer. I'm not, as good as all the other people in the class, but I feel comfortable coming in here. And when I say he comes to every class, he hasn't missed a class since that day. And it was years of him coming over and over to the class. He did Dancing with the Stars after that. All these great things. And it was one of the things that for me, I was learning. I don't know how I got him in here. I was just trying to get him in. But I started to see what I was creating in this room of people that was literally creating a support system that made people feel safe to come in here and to change their lives and to realize that it wasn't just physical. A lot of times people teach because the fact that they know it's going to get them in shape, or they're going to come in and have fun, but they're not looking at the whole aspect of it, because we all know that it is also emotional. When you don't feel good and you're having one of those days, you can lay in your bed all day and eat a bucket of ice cream or popcorn and just sit there and just be like, I'm here today. And so the moment people and my students started realizing that there's an emotional, physical, spiritual connection, and that was through the empowerment, everything started to change. And so Mr. T was the start of it, but because of Mr. T, then all these guys that would never come in, Dr. R started coming in. This other man that I had came in was another person who never took classes, but because he saw people enjoying themselves and having a good time, his name is Darren. He came into my class, and where I talk about the empowerment is you want to empower your students to be as good as you, better, beyond. And this guy, Darren, came in with the same thing, not a dancer at all. He was a scientist, never taken any fitness class, came in and went on from going, I feel so safe in this class. I come in here and dance, that now he's run, I think it's 14 marathons. He's lost all this weight, changed his life, and does all these other things beyond what it is that I did. And he always comes back to say, thank you for empowering me. He said, because I was out of shape, never took care of my life, and this made me feel a level of comfort coming in here. And again, it was through empowerment. So today I'm going to go over 6 of those key steps that I use to empower people. And it's been something that originally when I was doing it, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing it because I genuinely wanted people to have a good time. And then when I started to see what was happening, it made me go, oh, wait a minute, this is something that I have to encapsulate this so that I can show other instructors and build this worldwide. I now have 1,000 instructors in America, 1,000 in Japan, and my program is growing. And one of the key elements is this empowerment. I spend so much time with my instructors because I feel like other programs, you can just go in and dance and have fun, but are they really caring about where you go from there? And so that is the purpose of me talking to you guys today, is to show you what I use to empower people to get to that place where they can change their lives. It works for your family. It works for work. It works for fitness classes when you're working with people's health. It's what I use, and it's my example that one of the things I want to tell you before we get started, again, it's an empowerment story. I don't know if you know the story, so forgive me if you know it, but I want you to hear this because it's something that was a story that literally inspired me and made me go, okay, I get this. There's a man, his name was Richard, and he was working for a company. He was hired as a janitor, and he didn't want to take this job. His wife got him the job, and at the time he took it, it was $3 an hour. Okay, and so he took this janitor job, and the CEO of the company had a big meeting with everybody and said, I want you all to feel like you own this company. I want to empower you all to know that you own this company. So treat it like it's your company. So if you have an idea, if you have a thought, I want you to know you can call on me. Well, little did they know that this janitor was actually going to go, I'm going to take you up on that offer. But he felt empowered because somebody gave him that power and looked and said, I see something in you. There's a diamond in the rough. Come to me when you want to. So one of the days he was, it's a company that creates a snack, and they had made a batch of the snacks and didn't put the flavoring on it. And he took 2 bags of it home and was like, I'm going to go and test some flavors out. He's from Mexico, so he made the Mexican street corn with the lime and the spice and did all this stuff. And then called up the CEO and called his assistant and said, I would like to come in for that meeting. You said I'm an owner. And so when they retell the story, the CEO and the company is kind of like, the balls that this guy has, he's actually going to come in and try to meet with the CEO. And they did it because, we've got to keep our word. This is what we said. And he goes into the company and pitches his idea. And he's the creator of the Fire Cheeto, and is now went from a janitor to this multimillionaire that has had lunch with every sitting president since this happened, and it changes life. And so it's one of those people, again, that I look and I go, that was through empowerment. You can be inspired, but when somebody empowers you, it's a different level of inspiration. And empowerment is letting you know you can do it. It's not just going, have an idea, it's letting you know you can do it. So his name is Richard Montanez. If you ever want to look him up, it's such an incredible story. But it's something that I definitely want you guys to look at if you can, okay? So why empower? It's one of the things that I look and go, you know, you want to think about what your legacy is. And I know for me, you can make all the money in the world. And we all know that there are people who have everything and are not happy. And I know for me, I can say that empowerment for me is worth all the riches I can have. I know that if I was on my deathbed and somebody was to go, what's your favorite thing that you could do? I could say it's the moment where I've said something to somebody or seen something in somebody that they didn't see, and I was able to bring it out, and then to watch them, look, I'm getting emotional, watch them celebrate that is the most emotional thing for me. And it is something that means something when you see somebody reach those goals. And so it's why I make it the cornerstone of what I do. Okay, so let's get into these 6 key tips. Hope you have a pen. So the first one is develop mutual trust. This is so important. You know, I know when you have people coming in, I'll use it in my fitness-based version. You know, people come into a class, some of them are confident, they're dancers, they've done this before, but then some of them come in and they're afraid, they've never danced, but they see everybody's hooting and hollering, having fun, but I want to come in. And so you have to get them to trust you. You have to let them know, I'm not going to embarrass you. I'm not going to force you to do something you don't want to do. Come in, stand in the back. I'm not going to call you out. I'm not going to point you out. I want you to be here and know that you're safe. When you give them that freedom and let them know that they're safe, then it gives people the ability to open up and to grow. And so developing that trust is so important, and making sure that they know, look, I see something in you, and you may not see it yet, but just keep coming, you're going to see it. And the moment I started doing that was the moment I started realizing, oh, we all are so alike. We all want to be acknowledged for something that we do. We all want to come in and succeed at something. And the reason why most people won't do it is because they don't feel that they can. And when you empower them and you show them and you let them know and you look at them and you go, trust me, I got you. I got you. It was the cornerstone of what I do with my fitness classes. And I can tell you several experiences I'm going to go through later where I could say that this method that I use has 100% ratio, that somebody who could be the shyest person is going to come out of their bubble. It's something that I proved it to myself, because I thought sometimes I'm like, this is not going to work. And it has always worked. And of course, like I said, I'm an emotional man. So the moment I see somebody go to that level, I'm done. Then you have to come over and help me because I'm crying like a baby. So again, it's really important to know, you know, shyness is normal. A lot of times people think that if somebody's shy and you go, come on, you can do it. Come on, don't be shy. That's the last thing you want to do to a shy person. That actually forces somebody to kind of retreat even more. And so when you allow somebody to be shy and you go, you know what, it's okay, you're shy right now, do it when you're ready. When you feel like you can come forward, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to embarrass you. It's one of the things I'll do. I'm going to tell you about something I call the circle. If I was there with you, we would physically do this. So hopefully next year we'll be in person and I can do this with you physically, because it's a great example. But to explain it, in my classes, I did this from age 16 up. I would be teaching a fitness class, and then all of a sudden I go, everybody get in a circle, and make everybody get in a circle, which most of the time freaks people out. Think of what it just made you do. If I said, get in a circle, okay? A lot of times it makes you like, oh my God, he's gonna pull me out. And I do that, but I do it in a way that makes people feel comfortable. I'm playing with them, I'm connecting them, I'm making them support one another. So they're standing in this circle. And what I normally do is I'll give the whole group of people a step to do. Everybody's doing, they're all moving together. So they see nothing, they're not being forced to do anything by themselves. Then I'll use that circle to kind of all do something where we're all moving together and just laughing and having fun. And then I'll get to the place where I'll look around the circle and I'll start to gaze and see who's ready to come forward, who wants to come in and step in the middle of the circle. And sometimes you'll see people that literally are like, please don't pick me. And then you're gonna see some people that are like dancing and doing their steps like, pick me, I'm ready. And so most of the time I'll bring them forward. And what's really important is not just bringing them forward here, letting them know you're safe, come here, I give them a step, I tell the circle, cheer them on, and they instantly see support. And what that does is it shows the people in the circle, oh, they're all screaming for that person, and oh, they're supporting them. it's support, it's trust, it's letting them know you're okay, you're safe here. And so I do that a lot. And I'm going to explain a couple of stories that happened in that circle, because it's one of those things that for me, I I started doing it in 24-hour fitness, and they came and they talked to me and they're like, you can't do that. You can't do that with people. This is fitness. You should be facing the mirror and facing front. And I was like, okay, but my people are kind of just coming in here and they're not being so nice. It's Los Angeles. So they're kind of coming in here and taking the class like they hate each other. And it's the weirdest vibe. You come in and you're like, good morning. And everybody's like, ugh. And so for me, I was like, this is not how I want this class to be. I want this class to be a hug. I want this class to be something that people are having a bad day and they come in and there's their emotional release. And so to do that, you have to connect people. You have to go, we're going to find a way to connect you. You don't tell them that, but you just find a way to do it. And you start with trust. You also have to make sure that you, obviously you're having them trust you, but you also have to trust them. You have to know when it is they're ready. You also have to know, you have to get rid of your ego, and you have to think of yourself and go, I may have this plan to come in and do this today, but this may not be the day. This may not be the time. I have to pivot. I have to figure out my next step, or what I do instead of this thing, because they're not ready for this. Whatever it is, you have to develop that trust, because the trust is the first key, okay? So one of the things I want to tell you about with the circle, here's an example. There's a woman, I'm going to call her green sweater lady, okay? And it's for a reason. She came to my class for 6 months. She was heavy set. She wore the same green sweater every day, had a hood on. And literally when I say she pulled a hood, it was like the South Park character where you could just see the little bit of her face. She would pull it because she did not want to show her face. And she would be in the back of my class, and she would dance, but she would very much be like, I'm here, and she could dance. But I knew she didn't think she could, but she could dance. I think because she was heavy, she was hiding herself. And so she would do it, and every day we would dance. And she'd stand in the back and she'd stay like this and never kind of look up and look at people, but we all knew she was there. And I was creating an environment in there to create support, to let people know they're safe. And she would take this class, and I would do the circle, and she would give me the look when we did the circle, like, if you pull me to the center, I'm going to cut you. She would just give me this look. And so I always knew, okay, I'm not going to pull her. I know, I get it. And then one day she came to me at the end of the class and she goes, I want you to know, I love this class and it's changing my life. She said, but don't ever pull me in the center of that circle. She's like, don't. She said, because if you do, I will never come back. And so I was like, okay, I understand. And so my wheels started turning. I was like, okay, look, I promise I will never make you come forward when you're not ready, but can you do me a favor? She's like, what? I was like, okay. I was like, if I don't do that, will you come to the center when you're ready? And she was like, well, that's never going to happen, but yes. And I was like, okay, fine. And I let it go. Another 2 months goes by. She's wearing her same little hoodie. She puts it on, stands in the back. And then this one day comes, we're in the middle of the circle. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the repetition of her seeing people being supportive and feeling safe. I mean, I know it was the safety. And all of a sudden, I'm dancing, I'm pulling people in, and I just scan across and I see her looking at me like me today. And I was like, what? Like, she's going to come to the center? Are you kidding me? Like, what? And so I go to her, I grab her hand, I bring her to the center of the circle. And as I'm doing it, the crowd of people in class, 130 people, realize that's the girl who never comes forward. And she's like, they go, whoa, and they start screaming. I'm getting chills thinking about it. They're screaming and cheering her on. I see her like get red, like, oh my God, they don't hate me. I'm not horrible. I see this thing in her. She takes off this hoodie, and like, it was like she peeled off whatever fear she had, threw it to the ground, and she was dancing. And the more she danced, the crowd was going crazy. And then there's Billy just crying my eyeballs out, because I'm going, oh my goodness, she had her moment. And from that moment forward, she started coming to the circle. Look, I'm sorry, I get emotional. She started coming to the circle literally every week. And I didn't have to call on her. It was one of these things that I never even went back to her and went, you know, you told me you weren't going to come. I never said it because I just was so happy she was there. And she ended up losing all this weight. Same thing. She runs marathons. She does all these other programs now. She got certified in my Dance It Out program. And it was somebody who you never would have expected this from. But it was because of trust. I made her know, I'm not going to ever embarrass you or make you feel bad. I want you to feel safe when you're ready. Okay? So that's for trust. Number 2 for me is be authentic. This is very simple, obviously. You know, it's important when you are communicating with people that you're trying to empower, that you're showing them your real self. You know, I know sometimes in life we're trying to be this thing, and we feel it's important to show them we got it all together. But it doesn't mean you have to give them all your business. But I do know that when you connect with people and you tell them stuff that, you know, you can identify with, it creates an authenticity that makes people go, okay, I believe you. I trust you. I want to be here with you. And it's something that, again, I was always in fear of telling people things were going on in my life because I felt like if I do this, it weakens my position, but it actually doesn't. It creates a community. It creates a community of support, and it shows them that you're human, you know. And also with authenticity, I say do what you love. You know, it shows when you are doing what you love, whether it be dance, whether it be tennis, whether it be whatever it is. When you can bring somebody into your world of something, doing something you love, it is so much better than trying to force something on people that you're not even enjoying, and they can see that. So that's really important for authenticity. For me, I genuinely love to dance. I'm foolish. I have costumes and wigs and things, and people just look at me like he's a nut, but I'm genuinely having a fun time. And it creates a different environment for people to come in and go, okay, I can do this, okay, because he's real. He's showing me what he wants, you know. So that's an important one. And another story I want to tell you about. This is before I did the show Shark Tank. So, and this is about authenticity for me because it let me know something from something this woman told me. I was teaching my class at 24 Hour Fitness. I had this idea that I wanted my Dance It Out program to be worldwide. And so I was working so hard to get it there. But when you're teaching a fitness program, you get paid $25 to teach a class. Even if it's 150 people or 10 people, get paid the same. And I just couldn't make it. It wasn't working for me. And so I'm teaching this class daily and I have this idea, and 24 Hour Fitness is going, this program is incredible. This is going to be huge, but I can't pay my bills. So I was homeless and I was married. I had my ex-wife at the time, was married with her. And I had my son that I adopted out of foster care and wanted to give him a better life. And I had this idea that this program is going to make me all this money. So I stopped working my regular jobs that I had to do this. But then now I'm making $25 an hour for one class, and teaching 3 classes is all I got. I'm making nothing and I lose my house. I'm homeless. So I'm teaching in the hotel that's connected to 24 Hour Fitness, but I didn't want my students to know. Of course, who wants to walk in there and go, I don't have a house? You don't want that. And so I would sneak into the parking lot so they wouldn't see us coming. And I would go in and teach this class, and I'm trying to empower them, inspire them. And they're all going, this class is changing my life. But meanwhile, I was going through something that, of course, I don't want to tell them that, but it was eating me alive because I was like, I know there's something good here. I see people changing. I see things happening, but I can't do this because I don't have the financial backing. I don't have this thing. And so one of my weakest days, I went there and it was going to be my last class. I walked into the class and I was like, I'm going to teach this class. And I'm like, but I got to go get a real job. I'm like, I can't continue to do this. Yeah, it's great to empower people. It's great to work with people, but it's not paying the bills. And now I'm living in a motel that I'm trying to give my son a better life. And this is where I'm at. And I was ashamed of myself. And so I'm teaching this class and everybody's having a great time, but they don't know I've made the decision. This is my last class. And I finished the class and I'm packing up all my stuff. And I'm, you know, I don't know if my energy was just loud. I don't know what it was, but this woman comes up behind me and she's like, can I talk to you? And I'm like, sure. And she goes, and a group of people are behind her. And she goes, I just want to say, she goes, I hope you never stop teaching this class. And I'm like, oh God, just little does she know. And so she says that to me and I'm like, and she goes, and she pulls up her sleeve and she has these deep gouges in her arm. And she goes, I'm a cutter. And she goes, and this class makes me not want to do this. She goes, so please never stop. And as she says that, this other woman goes, oh my gosh, I have cancer and I'm going through this. And you don't realize that it makes me want to get up. I was in my bed for almost 3 months and now I want to get up and come here. And so all of a sudden it was like, bing, these things started going on for me going, oh my gosh, we're all going through life. Life is happening and we all need empowerment. We all need to look at each other and go, let's come together. And so I spoke up and said, well, I want to thank you guys. Things are getting better now, but I'm teaching this on this level. And at this moment, I'm homeless and I'm trying to get on my feet. And the class itself, when I tell you what happened, it was otherworldly. And it was something where it literally became a community because of the fact that we all connected with just little things we have going on in our lives. Mr. T was there that day, same thing with him. It formed this bond with one another that we were like, we are going to fight for this class and for this program and for one another and for our lives. And so it's so important to keep that authenticity and to not be afraid to share what goes on in your life, because I'm telling you, it genuinely connects people to you. It's one of those things for me that it's that story of that woman it touches me so much because she to this day is doing great things. She's the CEO of a company. She is a wonderful woman, but it was one of the moments that she was able to share that, and then it made everybody share. And it was otherworldly. So, all right. And the next one for me, move on to you guys, is number 3 is notice everybody and meet them where they're at. And that is one of the important ones for me is again, you know, when you are teaching classes or when you're working with groups of people, you have tons of people there. And because of the way the world is now, we all have our phones. We're all on Facebook, we're here, blah, blah, blah. We get to this place now where we don't really look at each other or communicate with one another. And it was something that I was seeing when people come into class and they're not really looking, they're doing this thing. And for me, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna actually like make sure that I get eye contact with everybody who's in this class. If I walk by them, whatever it is, I'm just like, I got you, I see you. And so it's really important to see people where they are. If somebody's coming into you and whether it's work or whether it's a program and they're like, you know what, I'm not there. I got a lot of weight to lose. I probably can't do this. You meet them where they're at. You look at them and go, don't worry about that. You know, a lot of people have the mentality that they go, I want to be where I was when I was 16. I want my body there. I'm not there. I'm so disappointed in myself. I let myself go. And I always tell people, stop saying that. Stop trying to be 16. You're not 16. Go better. Go to a different place. I know for myself, my stamina from when I was 16 to when I'm now 44 years old is better than it's ever been. And so I always tell people, stop trying to go back there. I see where you're at, but let's get you to even better where you can be now. You know, and so you see them, you hear what the issues are, and then you help them to go bigger. And one key word that I always use with people is to start using the word how. Because a lot of people say, I can't do this, I can't do this, I've never been able to lose weight. And I say, no, stop, change it. Say, how can I do this? How can I lose weight? How can I get in shape? How can I make fitness enjoyable? And then from there, you help them to get that answer. And so it's really important, again, like I said, to see them where they're at, and to see in them the diamond that they are. You know, it's sometimes it's hard as an instructor. You may have somebody who comes in who's grouchy, who's mean, who's not nice. But I think the key is knowing that every person is a diamond, and they may not be showing it, but a lot of those people who don't show it don't know that they are. And so I feel it's really important for you to see them so you can look and go, okay, I see your strengths. I see what this is. I'm gonna help you bring this out. And so it's meeting them and seeing them where they're at and looking beyond where they're at. Number 4 for me is to unify them. So I talked a little bit about this, and I'm gonna just kind of go into examples of how you can unify people. You know, for me, I unify people through creative games. I unify them through, obviously, through talking, emotion, and stories and stuff like that. But more than that, I really try to create connection. And what's most important is when you go in to unify them, you don't say, hey guys, I'm going to unify you, because that doesn't work. What I do is I just do it. You know, like I said, in my class, we're dancing and we could take a class and all be facing the mirror. But what I do is I go, no, make a circle. Okay, make 2 lines. We face two lines facing each other. And from there, we're doing stuff that's back and forth with one another, because what it does is instantly people start laughing, they start connecting. And I do these games all the time because it makes people go to another level. When you are unifying them. You know, if I come into a class and I teach and everybody faces the mirror, then it's one dimensional. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror. But the moment people are locking eyes with one another and then they're laughing because they mess up a step, and you let them know, it's okay, don't worry about the steps. It's not about that. So I make creative games. Like I said, I do the circle, which is putting everybody in a circle and kind of having them do stuff as a group. Another fun one that I do is I put people in 2 lines, which is like the south side or the west side, you know, or south side, north side. And I have them come together and kind of dance with one another and do like silly steps back and forth. And I call them icebreakers. So it's not like I'm just pulling people out to do solos. I'm using the whole line so you feel like you have a team. And those are really great things that I utilize, you know, for my fitness class, but you can utilize them for anything. You know what I mean? Find something that's creative with what you do, whether it's for work or whether it's a different kind of fitness program, whether it's, you know, it doesn't have to be dance, something to unify them. So it's not just people coming in your room and being all to themselves. Yes, there are times when you give that all to yourself, but when you create that connection, it creates a community. And again, like I can say, when I was doing this, you know, the gyms really do frown upon them. You know, I know Equinox, my programs at all the Equinoxes, and that was the same thing until they came in and were like, whoa, people are genuinely having fun and connecting. And it's what let me know it works is two examples. I'll give you a short one. I used to work for a company that they did animal testing. They asked me to come in and they were like, everybody's here. It's a really dark environment. They do animal testing, they do all this stuff. And so they're like, we want you to come in and just lift their spirits and come in and do something. And so I was like, oh, sure. I'm thinking, no big deal. And when I tell you that I walked into a room of just like, we don't want to look at you. We didn't want to look at you. It was one of those rooms that I went in and they were like, we want you to have 5 classes a week. Okay. And I was like, oh, great. This is going to be a nightmare. But I was like, okay, I got to figure out, how do I unify these people that don't look at each other, don't talk to each other? What is it that I do? And so I started with my techniques, my games that I play. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do the circle. And the circle was like, not for them. And I was like, okay, that's not the one. I got to figure out something else. And so what I started doing with them is I would teach them a routine and I would go grab a partner. And they would look like, oh, we don't want to do that. And then instantly they kind of face a partner and they would do the dance facing the partner. And then I would hear them go from dead silent for 30 minutes in the class to now laughing and this, and the class energy would change instantly because of that icebreaker and unifying them. And again, it was a company that was like, what are you doing to them? Because now they're all talking and they're coming together and they're having fun and it's just a better environment. And so it was one of the moments again that let me know, okay, this is really important. I always got to keep it. So I'm going to tell you another story where I was at the moment of going, okay, I'm not going to unify them today. I'm just going to teach my class and tell you where I learned, okay, I should just follow my own rule. And now I do. I was teaching my class. It was in, I think it was like Woodland Hills, California. And I walked in and the class was grouchy. One of those things where I'm like, good morning. And they're all like, And so I was like, okay, gosh, bad mood. And so for me, I was like, well, I'm not going to do unification because they're not going to want to do that. And something in me was like, no, this is the thing that you say always to do it, do it. So I did it. And of course, the energy changed. Everybody started screaming, hooting, hollering, having a great time. And then all of a sudden, at finished class, a woman comes up to me, same thing. And she says, I want to thank you so much. She goes, for that circle thing you do. First of all, this woman is 94 years old. Okay. She started with one of my classes. Then she started coming to 3 classes. Normally she takes the senior classes, but something made her feel safe enough to come to this class and do it. 94 years old. She said to me, she goes, I want to thank you so much for doing that circle thing. She goes, I felt like I was on Dancing with the Stars and everybody was hooting and hollering. She goes, and what I thought was so cool is she goes, is you dance with me. And she said, and nobody has danced with me since my husband died, which is 20 years ago. And of course, Billy cried while my eyeballs out, but it told me always do what the correct thing is. Unify your group of people, unify them. Find a way to unify that room because it changes the energy, it makes them support what you're doing. It's going to work with anything that you do the moment you figure out what is my technique to unify these people without telling them I'm doing it, something fun, something inviting, and then you get them on your side, but they're also on each other's sides, and it gives them all the chance to succeed. So once you've done that, those steps are important to kind of do them in that order. Then you go to educate them. That's number 5 for me, educate them. People are then open. If I was to get example back to Mr. T, Mr. T came into my class and if right away I was like, hey, Mr. T, let's do all that jazz from Broadway. He would look and be like, I'm never coming back here again. You know what I mean? So I built up my trust. I showed him that I was being authentic. I got him to the place where he felt like, okay, he sees what I'm here for. All those different steps I told you. And now I'm at the place where I'm like, hey, I can show him that these different styles of dance are going to loosen up his hips, are going to make him feel stronger, are going to give him, cut his arms, use his legs, all the different techniques. But if I did that in the beginning, that would not have worked. So I literally can tell you, Mr. T had been in the class for 3-4 weeks. And I was like, everybody was asking me, can we do Broadway this week? And I was going, oh God, if I do Broadway, he's never going to come back. And so I was like, you know what? I think he's comfortable now. And I felt it. And I did all that jazz. And now when I tell you, it's original Broadway choreography for Chicago. So it's like rouge in your knees and rub your knees. And it's really girly. And so if you're a guy, they're most of the time going to be like, oh gosh, what is he making me do? But Mr. T did it. He stayed and again comes up, what was that routine? I love that. Can we do that again? And so again, it was because of the trust. It was because of all the different things that then I can take them to a place and go, now you try this, now try this. So once you have them and you're in the place where they trust you, that you're there for their well-being, you're there to help them learn how to use fitness for physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, then they're going to go, okay, I'll try new things. What do you want me to try? And my students, when I tell you, I would take them all around the world. We would do Bollywood, we would do Broadway, we do hip hop. And then I would go, you know what, we're gonna try Irish dancing today. And genuinely, they would look at me like I was nuts, but they would try it and go, oh my gosh, Irish dancing, it kills your legs. It's so great for your lower body. And it is, but I got them to that place where they could see it, you know? And so again, I'm showing you how I educate them with dance, but you utilize whatever it is that you do. You know, you can do it when it comes to work. You can do it when it comes to whatever it is, especially if you're trying to empower them. You can look in that person, and now that they trust you, you can look and go, hey, I see this in you. And I know you have these things that are kind of holding you back, but I see this in you, and I want to help you get that one item. And once you get them to that place, then again, like I said, they're open. You have to get people to be open, and it takes a while for that to happen. And I use those steps, and I can say without fail, every person that has come into my class has been like, oh, I'm a doctor, Dr. Roz. This is not what I do. Then they're like, oh, I'm having a blast. I don't really care about this. I'm coming in for this reason because it helps me emotionally, or it may help me with my stamina, whatever it is. And you educate them, and you start to show them what things can help them. And one of the things that, is really important too when you're doing this is once they're open, this is when you help them start to set goals. You can't start off in the beginning and go, here's your goals and do this, because again, you're proving yourself to people. You're showing them, I'm here. It's not proving yourself that you're good enough. It's proving yourself that you're there to help them, that you genuinely want them to be their best selves. And so once you do that, then you can look at them and go, now let's set some tangible goals for you. You want to lose weight. You want to do this. You want to make working out something that you do every day. Once you get to that point, then they are open to go, okay, I can actually do this. And I trust you to take this knowledge from you. And so I utilize that all the time. My last one, I'm going to tell you, it's number 6. It's acknowledge their work and celebrate them. Now, I'll use my son as an example. My son, we moved to Connecticut. He was originally not doing great in school. I brought him to Connecticut so he had a better school out here. And instantly his grades went up to the roof. He got on the National Honor Society. He was doing really good. And I got so used to him doing so good that then if he would get a C, or, I have the thing that notifies you, was like, he got a C on his paper, or whatever it is. And the moment he would get that C, I'd be like, hey, what's going on? And I wasn't realizing I was pointing out the flaw, and I wasn't noticing the good anymore because it was there. And I thought I was correct because I was like, hey, I'm just trying to make sure that you just don't fall back in this or whatever. And it was my son, my 16-year-old son, who was like, Dad, he goes, but how can I stay good if all you're doing is pointing out when I mess up or do something wrong? And I was like, well, he's not wrong, And then I thought back about when I was a teenager. I'm like, oh yeah, you remember what that's like when, your parents like, you don't do anything around the house, and then you do something and they don't notice it. That. And so that's a really important thing when you see people working hard, to acknowledge their hard work, to look and to go, I see what you're doing, and not just look at the points where they aren't coming through or they're not measuring up, or they can't do something. To really acknowledge those points and keep reminding them that they are a diamond, because a lot of times people think that if they have flaws that they're not a diamond, but even a flawed diamond is still a diamond. And so it's really important to look at those people and go, I see these mistakes, don't worry about that. This is what you have going for you. And we got to just focus on that. And that's awesome what you did. I acknowledge it and celebrate it. Celebrate it, because joy is so important. And I feel that when you get to that place where you can be joyful with them for an accomplishment that they have, it's only going to make them progress further. And so, when I talk about this, it's something that I can say this process has worked for me with my instructors in Japan, my instructors in Mexico. I have people who teach from wheelchairs. It's been something that I've looked and I've used each one of these 6 steps with each of these different groups of people and gone, okay, well, maybe it won't work here. Maybe it won't work here. And it's always proved 100% ratio that it's always worked. And so, and one of the things that I see with it is people go beyond. There's a wheelchair teacher that I have right now that she teaches from a wheelchair. Obviously, she teaches to a group of people that are different mobility. Some of them can't move their legs at all. Some of them can't move their arms, but she teaches a class to them. And when she got certified, I didn't have yet a program that trained people who are adaptive in fitness. I didn't have that yet. And she was like, can I do this? And I was like, you can do this. And as I'm going, I got to figure out how she can do this. I see this woman loves to dance. I got to figure this out. And I used the 6 steps. And by the time I finished, she was like, I know what to do with this. I want to teach this. And she just won. It's so funny that I'm talking about her. Last night, she won the top ballroom dancer of the year. Her name is Carmen Ladonna. So proud of her. But it's one of those people, again, that came in and I followed those steps with, and she went out empowered. And it's one of those people that now she's out empowering people. And it makes me feel like I literally, like I told you, I get emotional. It gets me so emotional to look, and when I look and go, oh my goodness, I'm putting something out there that isn't me going and buying people and doing whatever. If I see karma is now inspiring people and empowering people, it is the biggest reward that I can ever have. And so it's one of the things that I really want you to utilize it, because I'm telling you, it is the most rewarding thing. So one thing I like to also say, this is another quote that I go by, is that bosses create workers, leaders create leaders. And you really want to have the people around you become leaders. You want to teach them how to be leaders. A lot of times in the fitness world, people feel like, well, if I teach them to be as strong as me, then they're not going to come back, or they're going to go somewhere else. It's not the case. They're always going to come back. People remember that. It was a fear I had teaching in Los Angeles. It's a competition. You're, as a teacher, you're like the superhero. You're like, you have to be the most popular one. And so I always had that mentality that, okay, I have to, be the best one, and I don't want them to go out to any other teachers. And the moment I was like, no, this is different. This is emotional. This is physical. This is spiritual. These people are coming in here for a reason, because it's emotional for them. The moment I locked into that was the moment I started lifting my students up in a way that I was going, you should teach, you should do this, you should literally seeing what their strength was and pushing them in that direction. And that's when I told you, Mr. T started coming in. This man he did marathons. This woman's in marathons. They all started doing things that changed their lives, and then they started to change other lives. And it's because I dropped the fear of, they're gonna leave me, because that's what you think. So to end my talk, I want to end with my last story of a woman named Ricky. It's showing you what this empowerment thing does. It came full circle. This woman, Ricky, was in my class, and she was there from the beginning. She was had a kind of, I wouldn't say a bad attitude. She just was a very abrasive, different culture. And when I say Los Angeles is competitive, it's very competitive. The women would come into class sometimes with sunglasses. They would fight over spots. I'm not kidding. When I would be in my dad's studio, I would see women kicking each other and pushing each other over spots because they don't want somebody else in there. And like I said, when I created this class, I wanted an empowering class. So that means you have to change the energy. You have to create support. And so I would always start my class with a speech and say, hey, just to let you know, there's no bad attitudes in here. There's no judgment. There are people who are coming in here who have never danced before. And there are people who are coming in who dance with Lady Gaga. We're all in the same room. We all got to coexist. So support. And I'm going to call you out if you don't have support, if you don't give support in this class. Well, enter Ricky. She's in the class. She's one of those people that she was a beautiful dancer, different culture, loved the class, but she did not like people in her way. And so she would come every day to class, and she would come early, and she'd put her bottle down in the front of class, and she'd walk out, like she was saving her spot, which you don't do. But she had that energy like, nobody gets in my spot. And we would have new people come in all the time, and new people are intimidated. They always go to the back, they hide in the corner. And this new woman was in class, and this new woman decided, well, I'm gonna stand up front. And Ricky did not like that. And I had a job at that moment as an instructor. I was teaching, and when I tell you I'm teaching this class and I'm sliding to the right and left, and as I'm looking, Ricky's sliding and she's bumping into this woman like I want her out of my spot. She's in my way. And I kept seeing it. And most instructors would just be like, oh God, I don't want to get in the middle of this. Or they would just go, I'm just gonna keep teaching, do my thing. But the vibe and the empowerment issue was so important to me that I was like, oh no, I'm gonna nip this in the bud right now. Luckily, I had another instructor in class that could teach for me, but it was a moment that I was like, Ricky, can I talk to you? And I brought her outside. Meanwhile, the class continues going, and I looked at her, I said, you can never come back to this class again. And she looked at me and she was like, why? What are you saying? I said, I see what you're doing. I said, you're making this woman feel uncomfortable. And I said, and it's her first time, and she may not be doing all the right steps, and she may be coming in here and having a hard time, but you're making her uncomfortable, and you're making the whole class uncomfortable. And she's like, no, I'm not, and she stormed in the room, grabbed her bag, and she left the room. And as she was clearing the door, the whole room erupted into cheers like, whoa, she's gone, because her energy was that bad. And so in my head, I was like, it's okay for me to lose one bad apple. But also inside me, I'm like, but I don't want to lose her. I want her to get herself together, is what I'm thinking. Well, the reason why I tell you this story is lead by example. This woman had been there for months, so she had seen me go, this is who I am. This is what this class is. I'm here to empower people and for other people to empower each other. The next week, I look out the door, Ricky's standing outside of my classroom, and she does this thing like, can I come over? And I walk over to her and she says, hey, I just want to say, I don't want to lose this class. I realize what it is, what you're trying to do, and I realize what I was doing. And if you allow me to come in there, I want to apologize to everybody. I was floored. You know, when people apologize, they don't like to do it out loud, they like to do it in quiet. She walked in this room. She told everybody in the class, I apologize. I know my energy has been bad. I'm a different culture. She said all this different stuff. The class surrounded her because of this support and hugged her and loved up on her. She stayed in the class. And the reason why I tell you how crazy this is, like a full circle empowerment. Not only did she stay and come back in the class and it changed the vibe, it changed her as a person. A month later, she came, she got certified in my program to teach it to other people. And it for me was a lesson that made me go, whoa, I'm learning the importance of this empowerment. And so I end with that story always to go, keep focusing on empowerment. Yes, inspire people, but go beyond inspiration and motivation, because motivation, we need it. But empowering people takes them to that next level and lets them know that they can do this themselves. So I want to thank you guys so much for having me. I'm going to bring Ebony back to the floor if you have any questions. I know I talk fast. I just get so excited, but I'm so grateful to be here. Can't hear you, Ebony.
Thank you so much, Billy. And I would just say I could personally attest to that. I brought Billy to a Fortune 100 company several times within our organization. We saw life-changing things happening in our organization. So, I mean, honestly, we saw the foundational level of weight loss. We saw foundational levels of training. I think we certified 30 instructors in Southwest Michigan, and they had never heard about the Dance It Out program. And still to this day, 7 years later, we actually have about 10 instructors still saying, yes, your class. And then I've also seen promotions. He talks about grumps. For some reason, he gets through to grumps. And so we actually saw a senior manager, and now she's at VP level. And her leadership, she went from being a boss to inspiring and being a leader. And we're still friends to this day. And I mean, she really talks about it. So I'm going to cry.
I remember, I know I'm getting emotional because I remember coming there. I remember there were groups of people who didn't really get up because they were in the call centers. You know, I remember and seeing them, seeing how much fun they had. You know what I mean? I'm constantly a student. I'm constantly learning. You know what I mean? So I don't feel like I'm just this empowering person. I feel that I learn empowerment from the people that were around. And I just thank you for the opportunities.
Absolutely. So we do have several questions coming in. So the first question is, how would you suggest leaders establish or rebuild trust within an organization?
So, you know, I think rebuilding trust, again, like I said, it's I would say first it is, you know, coming together and then figuring out. So would you say with this question, I guess I have a question for them. Is it something that they don't have the trust with their people now and they have to rebuild it? Or is it something that it's brand new? Can that person answer me just so I know? Oh, you're off. Your mic's off, Ebony.
I would say start with establishing and then also start with rebuilding, because they're definitely two different things. Yep. And I think those are all, you know, there would be two helpful ideas.
Yeah, of course. So again, establishing trust for me, I know what I did with people is I revealed myself. I know when I would talk about the stuff that I've been through and I've gone through, then people go, okay, he's not coming to me and talking at me. And so that was one of the things that I did. And then I was also consistent. I was consistent with the things that I did. So I would start with that. And then I also would start with, how I said earlier, letting people know you're going to meet them where they're at. So that if they're like, hey, you know, I want to come in here and give you my ideas, but I'm afraid to because I think you're going to make fun of me or somebody's going to make fun of me. The moment you let them know in their timing, it really creates a form of trust. That's like the woman I talked about with the green sweater. I saw where she wanted to be at and I didn't force her there. And I think a lot of times we go in and we're like, we want you to do this. Don't be shy. Don't do this. And the moment you do that, you lose trust with people, you know? And another example I give is like when I do that circle thing, I've had people that I went to say, hey, come and dance, you know, this. And when they go like this, the first thing that most people do is like, okay, well, then fine. The moment you do that, you lose them. And so I think, again, it would be establishing that trust by showing them, I'm coming to you where you're at. You can give me an idea and I'm not going to knock it. And even if it's something that you think, okay, that's not the best idea, you can look at them and go, okay, oh, I like that. So now let me spin it this way. The moment they know they can have a voice with you, they're going to start trusting you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Second question. What are some ways we can unify people while working remotely?
So I think definitely I would say for unification for me, I do a lot of things like the dance games I was talking about. If you're teaching a fitness class, that's something where, you know, again, remotely, I would do something where you can have somebody do a combination or come up with something together. One of the fun things I used to do, or I do now when I do trainings, because since we're not in person doing circles and lines, is I'll have them come up with something together. I'll be like, hey, I want you guys to create something to this little song and give them, you know, 20, 30 seconds and go, you guys make it up together. And the moment they start kind of talking and going, hey, we'll do this step, whatever it is, it creates something that becomes fun. Another game I play with people online is, you know, it's fun to do on Zoom, but I'll have people do a move and you know how it switches the cameras, whatever, and then we each try their move. It's another one that I do. So again, you have to really get creative with remotely because again, we're not in person. So it's something where you have them do it in tandem with one another is what I always do because, you know, we're not in the same room, which I can't wait till we are again.
Thank you. And the last question is, if you could give us one tip to encourage trust among a company and its employees, what would it be?
That's a great question. So I would say one tip for me to gain trust. I would say the biggest one for me again is showing, you know, that there's no judgment. I would say, you know, to let people freely speak, to give them a forum, and then to uplift their forum. You know, it's here's the example. Go back to the story I told you about Richard Montanez, the man who the CEO said, act like you own the company. Well, here's the level where he could have broken that trust. He called to make the phone call to say, hey, I want to come and have this meeting. And the moment he goes, yeah, okay, yeah, we're not gonna have that meeting, trust gone. That would have ruined the whole situation. So I say, set up a situation for them to be able to look at you and to go, okay, let's see if you're gonna follow through with this. You know what I mean? Create something for them to go, hey guys, I'm gonna create this reward or this item and follow through with it. Because to me, that's the biggest way to trust. If somebody follows through and you see somebody keeps their word, that's trust for me.
Absolutely. And I just want to personally thank you so much on your 6 nuggets: developing trust, being authentic, unifying people, connections, create communities. I really liked that one. All of your nuggets were something that will definitely last us, hopefully, a lifetime.
Thank you.
And so I just want to thank you. And we're going to bring Cassie up next.
Thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Love you.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Billy, for firing us up. You had such awesome, inspiring stories. I'm still dancing over here, but I'll use those dance moves again. So now we are able to give away some raffle prizes from our sponsors. We have our first raffle prize today is sponsored by PATH, which stands for Personalized Approach to Health, and it is a gift card to the local restaurant of your choice. So Ebony, who have you selected as our winner today?
Christopher Cockrell.
All right, Chris. Give a little high five. Yeah, whoop, whoop, even better. Perfect. Congratulations, Chris. We also have a Fresh Jack's Organic Spice gift set sponsored by Fresh Jack's Organic Spices. So our second winner today, Ebony, is?
Tammy Malbar.
All right, Tammy. All right. Congratulations. You'll have to let us know what you cook with those delicious spices. All right. So thank you again, Billy, for taking the time to share that with us today. It was Awesome. And thank you all for joining us for day one of our conference. At this time, we are going to go back to the ballroom, so that floor layout that you saw when you joined. And we invite you to stay on, finish your conversations, network, connect with people, share your contact information, share what you enjoyed about the presentation. We will keep the ballroom open until 1 p.m., so we have about 30 minutes to network. We also have a video from our board of directors at the top left of the stage. So if you click the video, you'll be able to see a welcome message from our board, just welcoming you to the conference this week. We will join up back. You will receive a new link, or Tuesday's link, for day 2 of the conference with our keynote, Jen Arnold, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much, everyone.